G'day ladies and gents, and welcome back to War Thunder. Today, we're going to be looking at a tank. Yes, that's right. I know you guys don't really appreciate my tank content as much as you appreciate my air content, but I just had to talk about this thing because I had a really crazy battle in it and wanted to kind of show you. So, for those of you who watch all of my content, I can't thank you enough. It means a lot to me that you watch my tank content because it pretty much never gets anywhere near the attention that my air content makes, which makes me kind of sad because I really like playing both aspects of this game, and obviously I get good matches to show you guys, and I also get matches that can sort of demonstrate a point that is kind of pertinent to the game. So with that said, we're going to actually get into the gameplay. The STB-1 sits at 7.7, and to be honest, it really shouldn't be there. At stock, which is basically what this tank is, I literally only have parts FPE and maybe something else. It's just a faster Centurion Mark 10. It has almost the same armor. It has better mobility, actually. It has more gun depression when you use the hydropneumatic suspension. When you don't use it, it has less. But this tank is honestly a lot more capable than the Mark 10. And it sits at the same battle rating. Not only that, but it also comes with hit FS, and it comes with HESH, although I don't really know why you'd want to use HESH. The STB-1 sits at 7.7 after all of that. I honestly think this thing should be 8.0 or 8.3. Anything with stabilized hit FS that pens a lot should be 8.0 or 8.3 without a question. The Object 906 is a pain in the ass. It's got a 5-second reload, and it has really good mobility. And it's 8.0. This thing has just about the same amount of mobility, has armor that basically stands up to the same shells. Granted, you're not really going to have too much issue with certain SPAAs, and you won't have issues with 50 cals, but this particular sort of battle rating, everyone's slinging around hit FS, everyone's slinging around ATGMs, everyone's slinging around APFSDS. So, you know, you're going to roughly tank the same amount of shells. Yet, this thing is a lower battle rating, and it is just as capable. I think that's a kind of crime. But you know what? STRV-81 absolutely, or rather, sorry, the M41, not this one, but the one that you can see in front, was taken out by the Object 120. Having a teammate that'll back you up like that, oh man, I felt so good. Having good teammates is so important, but man, that guy, that Object 120, mad shout out to you. You saved my bacon, and I cannot appreciate that enough. So, once we've gotten our damage done here with that BMP-1, obviously going through the side is pretty much a guaranteed kill if you aim right underneath the turret where the crew is, and the M41 Walker Bulldog, it's made of paper armor. It's got absolutely nothing, so anything will penetrate it. So, I'm off to capture the C point now that I've kind of secured the flank a little bit, and I can go and grab myself some SP, grab myself a cap, and start that ticket bleed in the favour of my team. So I'm pretty confident that I've got this flank basically secured up, and I'm going to sit behind this particular house until I realise that it's destructible, so I have to go and find a new one. So with this particular town, I don't really like fighting in the town, because as you can see, there are so many bushes and so much crap that honestly it's really hard to see. Whatever's shooting there, I can't tell what it is because there are too many bushes in the way. And there's also a T-44 in the way. I can kind of see what I'm shooting at, but I only just realized now that it's a BMP. I track him. There's nowhere that he can shoot at me anyway because he's going to be shooting at bushes, and hit FS and bushes don't really go together. I shoot him again, and I managed to shoot him through the front drive wheel, netting myself a really nice kill. So once I've done that, I basically thought, you know what, it's time to sort of push them back into their spawn from this point. But I turned out to be very wrong. My team is starting to lose the center of the map, and I actually need to go and help them. I can't just sort of sit there on their spawn and wait for a nice easy kill to roll out. I have to actually, in order to win, go and get myself a few more caps. How am I going to do this? Well, I'm just going to sort of drive in and try and find a spot where the enemies are not going to be looking, where they're going to be sort of preoccupied. Of course, I have to check that little camping spot up there, up the top of the hill. And the AMX-50 sort of asks for cover, and I decide to give him a hand. He's pointing the gun in a certain direction. I can't really tell where he's pointing it. If you're going to call for help, point to where it is on the map. Select it with the either the Alt key and then click where on the map you want this enemy to be shot, or alternatively hit the M key, giving you the big map, and do the same there for you. Turns out it is only a lonely little panther. I'm really not going to have too many issues with a panther. Not only that, but he's not looking at me, and if you shoot them in a particular spot, which is exactly where I shot him, you can pretty much kill the crew, and if they're carrying ammunition there, you can kill them basically through an ammo rack. So again, a nice easy kill without too much thought, without too much issue. Now, the B cap is being taken. Now, this is pretty serious because now the enemies is going to have a ticket advantage, and the ticket bleed is going to go into their favor. We're already starting to lose plenty of tanks, and I really don't want to lose any more because otherwise we're probably going to lose. So it's only a matter of time before they take control of the main town, and that's, again, not a good thing. So I'm going to go with this, I think it's an M48, and I'm going to try and follow him in and give him a little bit of support, a little bit of gun support, and as much as I can, try and clear out this town. I can see something there that has retreated. I'm guessing it's a BMP-2, judging by the rate of fire of the cannon, but it could be anything. It could be the LKV, which I didn't realize until later. And I can see there's my friend of the IS-3 who's taking shots. He takes one from an RU-251, and he's also taking it from a Kugelblitz, I believe, and I think it's a Coelian. I can't quite remember, but we'll see them in a second. They're both shooting at him, and they're going to be tracking him and barreling him. He's not going to die, but he is going to have a very lengthy repair time. The M60, I realize I made a mistake, it is an M60 after all, has gone in and decided to go for what I think is the Kugelblitz, and I'm going to follow him in. So I go for the shot. I aim between the guns. I aim between the little tracer spots where the guns are sort of flashing, and that's more or less where the turret ring is. I can jam that, and I can basically put the SPAA out of action, which is exactly what I do. As a Stuka comes in for a bomb, pretty crappy bombs, he rushes it, and that is one thing that you should never do. Never rush your bombs. Always take your time, because you never know how crucial that bomb drop might be. So here I go. IS-3 is looking at something very important, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to use him as a little bit of cover and try and shoot things that are coming out of their spawn over the top of his engine bay. I notice that he's repairing, and I decide to give him a little bit of cover from that side, which is actually really important. Having teammates to protect, you never know, they might actually decide to protect you back, or sort of give you a leg up in another situation where you otherwise wouldn't have had it. I get tracked though. And that's really bad news for me, because without a track and without a barrel, I am screwed. I'm caught out in the open, and there's an IS-3, and that's all to protect me. Unfortunately, he gets taken out, which is really, really sad for me, and now I get double tracked. So not only do I not know where this enemy has come from, I've only just figured it out now that it is a Centurion. I do manage to get saved by another teammate here in another IS-3. So it is really important. Chances are they're in a squad together, or they might have been randoms, but everyone seems to be working together in this match, and it is so refreshing. It's just a beautiful feeling. So while this IS-3 repairs, I'm actually not going to abandon him. I'm going to sit there, perhaps sit in front of him, or sit somewhere next to him, and try and repair alongside him. Again, pointing my gun towards the enemy spawn, trying to get a little bit of an angle, and you can see I've now decided to angle myself a little bit better. I've got a little bit more concealment, and then he points out a Panther 2 behind me, which I wouldn't have seen. This is what happens when you act as a good teammate. You might have someone that comes and saves your bacon. Speaking of saving my bacon, this particular enemy tank here is an IKV-91. The IS-3 turns his gun around in time to give me a good shot. He luckily, very luckily, donks his shot into, I think, a tank wreck or above me, and now I actually have a teammate to work with. This IS-3 is going to push forward, and he is going to do a decent amount of damage. I think a ghost shell there, I'm not really sure, but the IS-3 manages to save the day. Unfortunately for me, though, the Kugelblitz comes in from behind, out of nowhere, and takes me out. But that's 7 kills, without really breaking a sweat. The Type, the STB-1, or the prototype, I guess, for the Type 74, is highly capable. It should not be at 7.7, and I think it's ridiculous that Gaijin have left it there for so long. Not only that, but it would actually be better at 8.0 or 8.3, because it then finally gets a lineup in the form of the Type 87, but it also gets the Type 83. The Type 83 as the IFV is also highly capable, so having them all in a lineup is just a bonus to add to the STB-1, and forcing it to go into that lineup allows it, if you want to play the STB, to always fall back on something else that is also reliable. Not only that, but at this kind of battle rating, you kind of have a shit lineup. Let's be real. The lineup that I'm running is R2Y2V1, this piece of shit, the Type 61, which is actually kind of fun to drive out. I don't know why. I genuinely enjoy this tank. I spent a long time suffering at 6.7, but now that I play it at 7.7, I actually enjoy this thing a lot more. So, you've got this thing, which is kind of a meme. You have an R2Y2, and you have the STB-1, which is your main competitive tank. At an 8.7, you are not going to be competitive with this thing unless you kind of sit in the corner and wait for enemies to come to you. However, at 7.7, in a sort of 8.0, 8.3 type battle rating, you do actually have a fair chance. So it is pretty good. And you can see here, I come up against another Kugelblitz. Very, very easy to kill with high explosive anti-tank, fins stabilized. But that's about it. The Type 61 is a shit lineup. It's not a good tank to have in your lineup when it is a full battle rating below exactly what you want. Of course, you have got a couple of things to try and tie you over. You've got a howitzer, or an artillery piece basically, and you have a premium rocket launcher, which is absolute dog shit. Alternatively, you have a tiny little meme tank that can fire about 10 or 15 rounds, which is absolutely fuck all, and you've got an M42 Duster as your SPAA. To me, I think that's pretty pathetic, but it's also a sort of case of Gaijin taking statistics again over what kind of should be happening based on its performance as a vehicle, not in terms of its win rate, its kills, its deaths. And again, that's just another thing that Gaijin really sort of drops the ball on. It sucks, but that's just how Gaijin rolls apparently. Anyway, the STB-1, it shouldn't be where it is. It's very capable, it's very fun, but most of all, it is very, very undertiered. If the Type 69, which is a nice tank, not just because it's a 69, but because it is actually fairly enjoyable, if that can be 8.0, then the STB-1 can be 8.3 or 8.0 as well. I don't see a reason why not. And in fact, it would be better overall for this tank to have a higher battle rating since it gets its obviously beneficial lineup options. So ladies and gents, that is the STB-1 in what I can only describe as a pretty crappy lineup, but an awesome, awesome tank. Shouldn't be where it is, like I said, but until it is, I'm more than happy to play it. It is a fantastic piece of machinery, and of course, thank you so much for watching my tank content. No one ever seems to watch it compared to my air content. I really, really appreciate that. So if you guys would feed the algorithm with a like, I would sincerely appreciate everything. Anyway, ladies and gents, thank you so much for watching. Like I said, I really appreciate the view. I really appreciate the interaction. I get a kind of rush from comments and reading comments. So until then, take care, and I'll catch you next time.